All right, it's always great to talk to my old friend who I've known for years, the Hustle V, Ken Gaitano. The Hustle V's here. You know him, sneaker seller, his buddy Hustler Hacks. He travels with his wife, JC, who helps him document all his content. He's an eBay guy. He's doing eBay lives. He's doing events. He was at Camp List Perfectly, and he's super inspiring, always positive, and just always great to talk to. So, welcome back, Ken. It's you've had multiple appearances. It's almost time for the velvet jacket.
For sure. I appreciate you, Doug. Thank you so much for having us. Huge shout out as well to List Perfectly for always being there and, seeing the vision of, the brand, the Hustle Bee, and together with, the education that we provide with Hustler Hacks. So that's something that's near and dear to us when really people understand what our goal and end game. And, at the end of the day, so we're just here trying to provide people and share our experiences, from the things that we have learned.
Yeah, yeah, awesome. And we definitely appreciate you and what you're doing. And speaking of that, so you spoke
Mhm.
at List Perfectly's event, Camp Listing Party. How was that for you?
Oh, it was amazing. To be honest with you, that was the first event that we did this year. So we kind of made it to a point that the whole year we were gonna be very intentional on which events that we were gonna go to,
Yeah,
and this one really kind of like um um it felt really home. It felt like home. That's what I told Clara, the co-CEO, and I
nice.
said like the people, were just super genuine, and it was amazing, being in one conference and hotel, kind of have like a mini eBay open feel like we used to have before. So everybody running into each other, that was fun. Um, and the different variety of, I guess, people, right? From social media people, from consignment base, from massive stores to like having warehouses,
Yeah.
to YouTubers. It was all there. And I it was very refreshing. And me and my wife's goal was to learn from other people. Besides the fact of us sharing our story, we were like, we need to get as many nuggets as we can, and we did a lot of we found a lot of golden nuggets of knowledge from other people there.
And what were a couple of those nuggets that stood out for you?
I think a lot of it is like, um the one is it reaffirmed the value of community. I
Mm,
think that was one of the biggest thing that within the eBay selling community there are sub communities that are there that to actually really get to know each other.
sure.
And that was the thing. The other one is like, learn from other sellers that are very consistent in social media.
Yeah,
I think one of the things that we have done well early on with our social media journey was like really be on point with it. But as the business grew, the time allocated for the social media was like getting less and less. But at the same time, it was like it kind of like made me realize like, wait, we're doing this whole thing including social media, because the social media pretty much was our outlet to share our experiences. So it's like, why are we experiencing new things now and we're not sharing, and vice versa, right? I can't keep sharing the same things over and over again without
sure.
experiencing new things. So it was like, it showed me that it was very intertwined, and you just have to document your journey. And we're 7 years in, and I've heard people over 15 years in and selling in eBay and being part of community. So that was like, man, like when I think that we've done a long way already. Now, a lot of people made me realize, like, wow, like I'm a baby to them.
Well, since you brought that up, it's interesting. So I think I've known you most of those 7 years, and you and I
Yeah.
know each other well, and I've interviewed you multiple times. But so this time I wanted to dig a little deeper into, different things that are
hmm
related to you. So so go back and tell us how you initially got into sneakers.
Yeah. I think it started when I was in getting into my freshman year of high school. This was setting was way back in the Philippines. Um, I got interested into playing with the team basketball at the school that I went to.
Okay.
And like I've always just been kind of like an outdoor guy. I've never really gotten into the video game side of things. This was I was born in the 90s. So so it was like I've seen cell phone, like progress throughout my years. But I was really into like playing outdoor, playing sports, and a lot of that was like hanging out with kids in my age. um so you know, tried out for the basketball team, made a basketball team, and next thing you know, I was like, start looking at sneakers or shoes, basketball shoes. I was like,
Yeah.
whoa, like then I got open to like, wait, like and then we start talking performance. This is more grip than that. This guy's more, this is more flexible than that shoe. So it got really technical, and I was like, okay, so I'm learning all this, but along the way, I knew that my parents really didn't have a lot of money to buy a brand new pair of sneakers.
Okay.
Um, and so the story was like, my mom and dad would always, we'd go out to the mall and I would always check out what's on sale. So immediately my mindset was like, what can I get cheap for the low, because I want to get the best bang for my parents' buck.
Yeah.
And during that time I would have to always wait for my birthday, which was in August. So or it would be a Christmas present. And all this time going there, what I didn't know subconsciously, I was just learning myself of these different models and how prices have uh gone down throughout time.
Sure.
And then finally, my parents like, okay, let's make a deal, since you're really like wanting brand new shoe and it's not your birthday yet, yada yada yada. And it's like my parents was like, okay, if you get straight A's in a grading period, you get a brand new pair of shoe.
Okay.
And that's how it started, my love for the shoe. Then I became a straight A student with cool pair of shoe. So and then like back in high school, it's like, oh man, this guy's smart, and then he's got cool pairs of sneakers, so he's not the nerd kind of guy.
Yeah.
So that's how it started. And then everything since then, it was my mom actually gave me a poster. It says "will work for shoes,"
Yeah.
because every time the shoe was the bribe. It
Yeah.
was like, I don't care about money, food, toys, or anything like that. It was shoes. Like, I'll buy you shoes if you do this.
Yeah.
So that's how kind of it started. Yeah.
So, potentially 4 pairs of sneakers a year, right? If you
Mm-hmm.
and
100. Yeah. I got 4 pairs of sneakers. Yeah. Yeah. Every year. So, yeah, obviously it wasn't the most expensive one, because I
yeah.
start, realizing like, oh, it costs a lot. But, that's kind of like how everything started.
And so what was that very first pair?
Man, the first was it was a Kevin Garnett Nike Flight Posits. That was
Nice.
the first brand new pair that I got. And a lot of the stuff that I've had before that were like hand me downs.
Yeah.
But this was the one that, like I picked it off the wall and, sized it up and then went home with a bag. It was from like a Nike, it was from an athletic club. I
Okay.
don't know if yeah, like an older store athletic club. Yeah.
All right. So I know the answer to this question, but I want to bring it back up.
Yeah.
So you've got you do have a favorite pair of sneakers that's kind of
Hmm.
inspiring for you, and you keep them close. And I think you have a
Yeah.
few pairs. So
Yeah.
tell us about your favorite pair of sneakers.
It's the Jordan 12 flu game. It is the one that Michael wore, and when he had the flu, which was actually a food poisoning game. He wasn't supposed to play that game. He was throwing up all night, dehydrated, and then played a closeout game and defeated the Utah Jazz. Scored 38 points.
Yeah.
Literally right after the game, Scottie Pippen pretty much had to like put him on his shoulder and
Yeah.
walk him out the court. That spoke to me a lot. Like the story, in the 90s, like you've seen the shot, you've seen the game, you've seen posters,
Yeah.
and and along with his accomplishments, right? Because that was pretty much like his fifth ring, going to his sixth ring. It made me realize like there's a lot that you have to do to be great,
Yeah.
and which he has actually modeled. Greatness comes with sacrifice and repeating things over and over again. until you get things done. So Jordan 12, yeah, the black and red, that was definitely a shoe that I'll never, get rid of, and I'm always gonna keep buying buying those if I get the chance.
So is Michael Jordan obviously is one of your heroes?
Definitely, one of the heroes that I was too young to watch him play, but crazy enough, we have this thing called YouTube, and back in the day, the DVD highlights.
Yeah.
I got all his DVD highlights, so I would literally sit down and watch his games on a DVD, and just start watching them, and felt like I was in the moment.
Nice. Yeah, because you played basketball,
Yeah,
had this interest in sneakers, and
yeah,
then just an inspiring guy.
yeah, for sure. Yeah.
All right. So what was it that got you? What was the spark where you discovered you could sell these sneakers that you loved?
Yeah, it was back in I think so. I moved here in 2013.
Okay.
And but for the first year I didn't get a job yet because I was waiting for my green card and my social security ID number. Um During this time I was just trying to buy sneakers that I didn't have
Okay.
when I was growing up. So then I start, getting to Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist during that time was still up. I was trying to find, like what's the best deal, and I was looking for a used. Um, and then right at between like 2016, before we started an eBay store, I in 2015 and 2016, I got a job already. This is when I start buying from eBay. I would send offers on eBay. I would try to, what they would call lowball everybody. I would send offers on like, $100 off, and like they just ignore my offer. But some of them would take it. And so by this time I had around like 100 pairs of collections already. Like pretty much my savings or my paycheck went to sneakers. And we decided to go home to the Philippines, and I needed to pay rent and car payment for, while we're gone for a month.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I need to make extra money. So I was like, oh, let me try to sell these sneakers back to eBay. That's when I start realizing, like, wait, I paid $200 for this, and it just sold for 300. Like,
Yeah.
wait, I just let it collect in my, collect dust in my shelves, looking at it, enjoying watching it every day, and then it turned into a profit. So I was like, wait, like this is like kind of like a stock market now, like I bought a piece of stock and then they just increase, or a piece of art, right? And then that's when collectability and collectible kind of like opened my eyes. I was like, okay. And then that's when I was like, okay, I probably could make this work. So when we got back, I pretty much like, okay, I need capital to do more of these. So I pretty much slashed my collection in half and tried to sell it on eBay. And that's how I kind of got like the first $500 of capital that I invested in the eBay store when we started in 2017. And along the process, that's when I start YouTubing stuff and
Yeah.
found Glenn Hustler hacks.
So do you remember the first pair you ever sold?
Man, I can't remember. I'm sure it was. I know for a fact it was a black and red Jordan because all my collections were black and red. That's all I had. So it was like Chicago Bulls. It's pretty much stuff that he wore. So I'm definitely sure there was one of the Air Jordan 12 flu games there, because at one point I had 10 pairs of them, and I was
Wow.
like, oh, it doesn't make sense to keep 10 pairs of them. So I'm down to 3 pairs now.
All right. All right. So, and this ties into what I was going to ask you. So, Glenn Hustler Hacks, YouTuber, sneaker guy, he'd
Mhm.
been around for a bit. You learned a ton from him. I mean, how much of what you know did you learn from watching him?
A lot of it has to do with the stores in the US, because I never heard of. I've only knew of Nike outlet,
Okay.
right? Because I've been to Nike outlet multiple times, but I never knew about Ross Dress for Less and Burlington Coat Factory and Marshalls having it.
Yeah.
Because I've always thought Marshalls was like polos, like leather shoes, those casual, dad shoes, pretty much.
Yeah.
Until I start seeing his videos that he was going to the stores and finding this. So that's kind of like he kind of gave me the permission, like, hey, it's here, go hunt for this. And during this time, it was, he had an article come out of him paying his student loan. It's like, oh, he's paid his student loan for this. And I'm like, okay, this is real money now, we can live off of this. And that's pretty much where it started. And then after that, it was just exploring more within the category. Because, like sneakers, I was really, well versed about it, but there were so many different, football cleats,
Yeah.
soccer cleats, running shoes, golf,
Yeah.
shot put. I mean, I didn't even know there was so many, like javelin throw. Like, what's the difference, right? But there were, I mean, I called it sports specific footwear,
Yeah.
which is definitely a lot harder to find. You can't just walk into any other store and find those.
Yeah. My son, he throws shot put, discus, hammer, and he's got shot put shoes, throwing shoes, different kinds for different things.
Yeah,
And he has
that
to have
that's
running shoes too.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, that's pretty much where I got all those ideas early on. That's like, oh, it's available in these stores.
And so sneaker collecting's hot, sneaker selling's hot, sneaker buying's hot. I mean, there's sites dedicated just to sneakers,
Yep.
platforms dedicated just to sneakers. Um, but it's particularly hot on eBay, where a pair of sneakers sells every 5 seconds. So why
Yep.
do you think sneakers are so hot, and why particularly on eBay?
I think eBay started the whole market early back on. It was, obviously it was one of the earliest e-commerce website.
Sure.
Um, Even back in the day when forums were like a big thing, right? So everybody wrote on forums.
Yeah.
Um, it was called Nike Talk. It was a forum called Nike Talk, and we all just I didn't actually post there because I was old enough to have an account, but you could watch, you can't reply, but you could read. So I was getting my insider news there and stuff like that. This was before vlogs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I think it has evolved over time. That I think, in a in a maybe within the last 15 years, now it has opened to more platforms. We have Goat and StockX coming in,
Yeah.
two major players that started solely for sneakers. And then now you have big consignment shops. Um, and I think the availability was open to mass market now compared to what it was before. It was hard. You
Sure.
had to be within the community to be able to talk to each other. um I think lately, I felt like eBay lost that market share because kids during this time, it was app based, right? Everybody
Yeah.
was like Snapchat, Instagram, so everybody was phone centric. And StockX and Goat built it around that.
Yeah.
And that's when they took a lot of market share because it was easier to navigate. Their parents had eBay, but they didn't have eBay account because you have to had PayPal. You've had to had, like, it was more of like a grown person's thing. But now they made it an app that it made it more accessible, that, Apple Pay, credit card, it was that, like, you didn't have to have an account to check out on this one. I
Yeah.
mean, if you can, if you want to. But they took a lot of the market share on that. And I felt like it was a losing battle for hot sneakers for eBay during that time, until one day about 2 to 3 years ago, eBay decided to take it back, and they pretty much announced any sneaker over $100, zero fees. That's when the landslide happened. I mean, imagine selling a $200 shoe, that would be a $20 fee in any other platform. Now, straight to your pocket.
Yeah.
So I think it was 2019. That's when it happened. 18 or 19, somewhere there. That's when we just went deep, like zero fees. You've never heard of this.
Yeah.
And eBay pretty much took that back. And now with the authenticity guarantee that eBay did, they pretty much, got the authentication from Sneakercon. And that's when it became a thing. Now eBay's back again as a major player in the game. And that's where, every 5 seconds, a shoe sells on eBay. So, imagine there's probably 100 pairs already since we start talking that sold on eBay right now.
Yeah, and so is that why you're so eBay focused?
Yes, 100%. That's where um I think, compared to other platform, we obviously eBay has definitely the most users, active users. So that's the main focus now. And again, obviously you can sell anything 24 hours
Yeah,
on eBay on a website. It was just a lot, cost effective for us to list it on eBay rather having our own website.
nice, nice. So give us a brief overview of eBay's sneaker authentication and how it works, and do
Mhm.
you use it?
Yeah, I mean, I use it every day. Most brand new sneakers over $75 go through authentication now. It started at 250 was the price range, and it went to 200, 150, 200. Now it's 75. Um, so so as a buyer, you pay 14.95 for shipping.
Okay,
And then when you buy something from me, eBay sends me a label that I need to ship it to a warehouse.
okay,
So I will ship it to a warehouse closest to the buyer. Now the warehouse which is the authentication center for eBay, I send it there, and then the authenticators verify the shoe if it's legit or not, and if it matches the description. If it's really new, if it's used, am I hiding different flaws?
sure.
Is it stinky or not? Something like that, right? Because you have to disclose everything.
Seen that. I've seen that, dude. They smell
Yeah,
them.
yeah, and yeah, they smell them. And and then the buyer receives it with eBay tag. It's actually an NFC tag that you can scan on your phone, that it will actually match the shoe that you have. So it's in their database that it has gone through, and in the back end they'll know who authenticated it, when it got authenticated, and stuff like that. So it gave the buyers a lot of confidence, because in eBay there is still some fakes going around during this era, but
Yeah,
now you can't pass fakes through the authenticity. And then also for sellers, it gives me confidence that you're not gonna lie and you said, "Oh, I got fakes. I need to return you." The switcheroo case, right? Like I'll buy a real one and then I'll return a fake one, and then
yeah.
the seller gets screwed. So that's not happening anymore.
Nice, nice. And so you are we're early into eBay lives. How are
Yeah.
those going for you?
Yeah, we're it's still currently in beta test right now. I think there's around only 10 people that can go live in the sneaker category.
Nice.
Um, it's very new. We're definitely I in for lack of a better term, I feel like we're stress testing it. We're trying to see if we can break it.
Yeah.
Which is good. I've worked with them closely. I've traveled with them recently to Sneakercon. To do lives there to promote it, but a lot of it is just testing different strategies, different setups. So that's one of the things that we're doing. And I think it's definitely another avenue that we can sell. Yeah, I would say it's a fun way of selling sneakers.
Yeah. No, I've seen you on there. It's fast and you're
Yeah.
great. I mean, because you've done this before, but it's pretty sweet and it's available via the mobile app. If you're not able to find it, you can go there up in that right hand corner. There's an
Yep.
eBay live button. You click that and then you see who's live, who's coming up, and then you can
Yeah.
see replays too. I thought that was cool
Yeah,
that
yeah, replays, and then you can still buy the products from the replay if it's
oh,
still
that's
available.
sweet. That's
Yeah.
sweet.
Yeah.
So, and I've always wondered, but I've never been. SneakerCon's come up a couple times.
hmm
So, what's SneakerCon like, and why is it so important and influential?
hmm I think I think it's a giant meetup for collectors, right? So, back in the day when it started, we would meet up with all our friends from Facebook groups at sneaker events.
Okay,
SneakerCon is the name, but it's a sneaker convention where you could buy tables. They call buy, sell, trade. You can buy, you can sell there, and you can trade. Early on, it was, there were people that would get a table just to display their collection, and there were people that would just sell, and there are people that just literally says, I buy everything.
Yeah.
and you just sell to this table. Um,
Nice.
so it's just kind of pretty much a trade show, but it's all sneakers. Everybody dressed really cool and fly.
Yeah.
It's a giant I would say a red carpet runway vibe. Everybody like styles the way they do. You got the OG heads with their the old collector with their son, like the old dude trying to teach their young buck some new
Cool.
game. And then you got the parents bringing their kids, the grandpa. So I think it's a really cool bonding moment for the community. There's family based, there's friends based, and there's business based. So I've always seen is a great networking. You get to rub shoulders with the biggest sneaker sellers in the country, the most influential sneaker sellers in the country. And now, within probably the last 3 or 4 years, the brands have invested in there.
Yeah.
eBay is there, Monster Energy drink is there, just different big brands that are sponsoring different events. Sometimes there's cars, sometimes it's just
Nice.
a cool place. I would say it's a Disneyland for sneakerheads.
That's awesome. I
Yeah.
gotta go sometime. I gotta go sometime. Okay, so the 7 years you've been doing this, you've seen a lot of change. You've seen Goat come along, you've seen StockX, you've seen eBay, like you kind of
Mhm.
said, and it's true. You've seen eBay kind of lose the market and then get it back with eBay
Mhm.
authentication, and you've seen lives like Whatnots and eBay
Mhm.
Lives,
Mhm.
and different marketplaces expanding to include sneakers. So, in your view, what's the future? What's next for sneaker sellers?
I think it's just a cycle. It goes up and down. Currently, with the economy where it's at, it's not the hottest right now.
Yeah,
I think sneakers is one of the first and easiest thing to cut off of your spending expense or your
sure.
spending budget. Gone are the days where people were just sporadically spending $200 to $400 on sneakers.
Yeah,
Now I feel like everybody's trying to become a smart shopper, which is, I think that's where eBay has an edge. I think it's the marketplace for smart shoppers. It's not the easiest to navigate,
yeah,
but if you can find the deal, so it's still there's like a thrill of the hunt in eBay platform.
definitely.
Um, in other platform, it's so easy to like sort low to high. It's actually the lowest off the rip. StockX and Goat will show you the lowest. So there's no option for you to buy a more expensive pair. They will just sell you the lowest product. Um, right now it's on the downtrend. But I think it's a matter of time that there will be an upswing again. It's always gonna be there. I think at the end of the day, the community is gonna hold it up, and the the sneaker collectors are always gonna be there. I think the biggest shift really that I've noticed is back in the day, we had this sort of like heroes that actually wore our shoe and performed in our shoe. The
Yeah,
Michael Jordans, the late Kobe Bryant, I think were a big staple on sneakers. And I
yeah,
think now with the LeBron era, it's a mixture because there's influx of the influencers,
yeah,
of the artists, of the hip hop culture now promoting sneakers. So as an older collector, I could slowly see like, oh, the young ones really don't see it. The young ones don't really truly care about it because all of a sudden now, like you see people rocking shoes, not because of Michael Jordan, because an artist wore them, a celebrity, an influencer wore them. But you cannot fault them because they didn't grow up in an era where everybody watched NBA. Everybody knew Michael Jordan was. It's funny now that a lot of them don't know the stories of the new sneakers. They just like it because of style. So
yeah.
it shifted from a very collectible, um, close knit community now to mainstream. But for some people, they said, "Oh, you've lost the way." But
Okay.
now it pushed it so much into fashion
Yeah,
that recently, higher end brands like Louis Vuitton have collaborated with Nike with a
sure.
sneaker that's never heard of before in our era, but now it's been pushed to you know uh to push into the fashion end, very fashion heavy instead of like the performance
Yeah.
basketball sports centric side. So that's the swing, and I think it will continue to bounce back and forth. But with social media and the the digital space that we live in right now, you know so many people making contents about them
Yeah.
anymore. Back in the day, the content was the game, the basketball game,
Yeah.
the highlights. That's what it was. Now there's so much creativity in the space where people would customize a shoe. People would make cool videos about them, take
Yeah.
cool photos about them, and it's so much more. The barrier of entry has pretty much is not there anymore. There's no barrier to entry. You just have to have a sneaker, and you add it to your art, and it's it. So
Yeah.
I think that's where the sneaker culture, I mean, I think overall it's always going to be for the better. It's just going to be different perspectives now.
Yeah. That's interesting. That's interesting. All right. Before we go, I want to get 3 quick tips from you.
Hmm. Sure,
So
sure.
give us your top sourcing tip.
I would always say my favorite, for sourcing is go to like Nike outlet, which is my favorite. Can't be biased, but I am. I love Nike. Um, go on like a holiday weekend sale
Okay.
and go early on a Friday. Like we have like a 4th of July back to school sale. I always tell everybody either go early Thursday morning or early Friday morning. Those are, the least traffic, and that's when you can still find all the deals before everybody gets to them. So you gotta be at least be the first 5 people in line on
All
a
right.
early Thursday or Friday for sourcing. Yeah.
Okay. How about a top listing tip?
I would always say your first impression really makes a big difference on your listing, and it goes to photos. You gotta have a good looking photo. It's your primary photo has to be on point. And I think over time we have, had so many different photos set up. I think this time we've had the longest photo setup that we haven't changed because we're finally, accepted. It's like, okay, this is the best quality with the speed of operation that we have.
Yeah.
And I think photo really like entices the buyer, especially for a sneaker, for something that's really cool. You want to present it better.
Nice. All right. Let's shift a little bit for this last tip.
Mhm.
Give us a top collecting tip.
I would say collect something that really means something to you.
Okay.
The word hype, like, oh, I want to collect hype items only. Pretty much the expensive, the one that has the most resale value.
Yeah.
I think, you know, when you're looking at it that way, you're not really a collector. You're more of like you're looking at it as a business. But I think collecting is like you got to find something that has meaning to you and that you will appreciate looking at. Like most things in life, a lot of them don't have high monetary value.
Sure.
So you gotta look at it as something that if you truly care about it, if you relate to it, and if you appreciate it more than other people, then value really don't matter.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. What's next for the V?
I think late for the next half of the year, we're trying to get to as many networking events that we can get to. We're working closely with eBay, with the seller community, and also now added the eBay sneakers community or the eBay sneakers department.
Nice.
That's one of the things that we've been working on a lot, and I think to be honest with you, we're just it's still 2023. You guys are listening to it right now in what in summer of 23, but I'm thinking of 2024 already, trying
Yeah.
to get ahead of my next year. And as soon as next year hits, I want to be up and running already. So trying to be proactive now.
Nice. Nice. All right. Anything to add before we go?
No, I think going back to the 2 words I always tell everybody: never settle.
That's right.
If there was anything that you could learn from me or get inspired with our journey, is we've never settled. So if you still have dreams and goals in your life, it's still out there. There might be obstacles in life, um but it can always be overcome, and you can always do better. That's my goal. To tell everybody that there's always bigger and better things for you and your family, or the things that you care about, and go after it. Never settle for the lesser things.
Nice. Yeah, dude. And you're totally a testament to that. So always inspiring and never settling and always fun to talk to you. So thanks for joining us today. And I'm sure that we will talk again soon. But thanks
For
so
sure.
much. And the Hustle Bee.
Thank you.